I support fair trade that protects American workers and benefits American consumers. The American economy is the strongest and largest in the world, and we need access to foreign markets. That's why I support tariffs when they're judiciously targeted and applied to address unfair labor and trade practices. Congress, as you know, has provided a number of authorities to the President to levy such tariffs, but the International Emergency Economic Powers Act is not one of them. I believe the IEEPA tariffs are illegal and unconstitutional, and I'm hoping the Supreme Court will overturn the President's decision. Additionally, the cost to consumers from this administration's trade wars cannot be ignored. Families are paying higher prices for everyday necessities, from groceries to clothing to home goods, because of the Trump tariffs. President Trump acknowledged this risk himself months ago when he said, well, American kids might have to have $2 instead of $30. I don't know what family, other than the Trump family and some others, can provide $30 to their kids, but that was an admission by the President of the impact on cost of those policies. And of course, just last month, as part of an effort to reduce prices, the administration lifted the tariffs on staples, including beef, coffee, and bananas. The affordability crisis is not, as the President has recently said, some kind of Democratic hoax. Tell that to people in Maryland and around the country who are feeling the pain. And according to an estimate from the Yale Budget Lab, tariffs could cost the average American household roughly $4,900 a year. And my constituents are reporting to me the pain of additional costs, like the Thanksgiving dinners, where the staple foods comparable to last year's Thanksgiving dinner was about 10% higher. For businesses, the Trump tariffs have created a system that is unpredictable, inconsistent, and ultimately harmful to American interests. Despite the administration's rhetoric supporting U.S. manufacturing, we have shed 78,000 manufacturing jobs this year. We're also seeing an emerging pattern where large, well-connected companies are cutting special lucrative deals for themselves, while small and medium-sized businesses are left to navigate an arbitrary system they cannot afford to influence. In other words, two sets of rules, one for the well-connected that can give expensive gifts to the President, and others that can't. Princess Awesome is a Silver Spring, Maryland-based children's clothing producer. They visited my office after paying over $74,000 in tariffs in just a few months. They've been forced to put tariff bills on credit cards due to the sharp jump in costs. Their primary import, textiles, is not comparably produced in the United States, so they can't pivot to purchasing from a U.S. supplier. And they've been left with no choice but to go into debt or close up shop. And that's just one of many Maryland stories. Of course, in addition, the unpredictability of the trade policies has hurt and paralyzed many businesses. Companies don't know what tariffs will be from one day to the next, making it impossible to make hiring and investment decisions with any kind of certainty. That is bad policy. It's hurting small and medium-sized businesses and the workers that they support. And it's not just that this approach is failing. As the chairman mentioned, in addition to increasing input costs for American manufacturers, we're also seeing retaliation. So, for example, from China, when it comes to agricultural exports, in Donald Trump's first term, President Trump's first term, we had a $28 billion bailout. Just yesterday, the administration announced a $12 billion bailout. I can tell you, Maryland soybean farmers, they don't want the bailout. They just want to be able to sell their products as they had been before the latest trade war began. So, Mr. Ambassador, Americans are paying higher prices. Some are losing their jobs. Some businesses are going under. And at the end of the day, taxpayers are now asked to foot the bill for some of these misguided policies. So